Hello, everyone. Thank you guys so much for joining us today for this awesome live event. I have here with me Marissa Emanuel from HubSpot and Emily Leiden from Iconosquare to talk to you all about using Instagram for business successfully. And I think it's going to be a really great session. So Marissa and Emily have both been experimenting with Instagram for HubSpot and Iconosquare respectively for a couple of years now, and they're both super pumped to answer your most burning questions about the platform, starting with the 20 that you guys upvoted on the landing page for this event. Before I hand it off to them, I wanted to just go over some quick housekeeping things with everyone. We're going to take the first 30 to 45 minutes to answer those top 20 uploaded questions from the landing page, and then we'll jump right into answering questions from Twitter via hashtag Instagram Hangout. So I'll be keeping an eye out for those. So throughout the session, if you have questions, shoot them over to Twitter there. We'll spend the last couple of minutes going over our favorite best of Instagram posts that some of you submitted from your business accounts. And the last thing is, if you guys need to duck out early today, or if you want to rewatch this session again later, this event will be recorded, and I'll be sending out both the slides and the recording via email and posting them on the same landing page you used to register. So on that note, Emily and Marissa, let's get started with those top 20 questions. Looks like the first one that got the most upvotes was, how can I get my followers to engage with my posts?
I can take that one if you like, guys. That's a really great question, actually. I would say to get your followers to engage with your posts, the most important technical element you need to be aware of is your best time to post. So basically, you're looking to find out the times and days when your posts generally get the best engagement. So for anybody using Iconosquare, you'll know that this information is available on the platform. Alternatively, you can find a similar metric within Instagram's Insights, which you will have access to if you have a business profile. So this metric tells you the times when your followers are the most active, which can help you to gauge really when you want to be posting, as opposed to when your past posts have had the best engagement. So that would be the first thing, would be the best time to post. The second element, which will help you get great engagement, is the use of the right hashtags. So using popular hashtags will ensure that your post is visible, and it will help you to reach more people on Instagram, which obviously will result in better engagement. Another great tip for your followers to engage with your posts is to add CTAs, so calls to action, to your captions, or even within the posts themselves, if you want to add like a button or something within the actual visual. So asking your community a question or asking them to do something through your post will encourage comments, will encourage likes. You can also ask your followers to tag their friends in the comments, which will help you to boost your reach, as obviously your post will be visible by more people. And finally, I can't say enough about contests on Instagram for engagement. So hosting a contest or just a giveaway will encourage your followers to participate, liking, commenting, as well as tagging their friends again, and also spreading the word organically. So that will increase your follower count, because obviously you'll be getting more traffic to your Instagram posts for people wanting to participate in your contest, and also your engagement. So contests are definitely a great way to give your engagement a push and get your engagement rate up and boost your reach. So I would just say one more thing is just to remember, if you're trying all these things and you're still not getting the engagement that you hoped for, there could be a deeper problem. So in that case, I would definitely suggest always communicating with your followers and finding out the types of content that they'd like to see on your Instagram, and in that way you can give them what they're looking for. So a quick recap, I guess: best time to post, using the right hashtags, including calls to action, trying out a contest, and most importantly, communicating with your followers.
I love that part. I love that point about asking your followers what they care about, because if you have a super engaged community, they'll tell you what they like or what they don't like. If you ask the question, like, do you care about this? What topics interest you? They'll let you know. If they're following your brand on Instagram, they do care about what you have to say. So I think that's a really great point. I would also say too, to echo your sort of time to post point, I think we get the question a lot, like, what's the sort of universal best time to post? You know, there's all these articles about, should you post at, noontime or lunchtime or whatever the case may be. And I just want to echo what you said, that every brand has a different best time to post. So you really, as with everything, have to think about what's best for your audience rather than sort of a generic catch-all time.
Absolutely, yeah.
Cool. Awesome. Great answers, both. Next one is, how can I get discovered on Instagram?
So I can take this one. A lot of this jumps off what Emily said. It's all about creating engagement, essentially. So one of the big things that we think a lot about here at HubSpot is focusing on this explore section of the app. So this is the area that serves you content based on what your followers like, what your friends like. It's basically the most algorithmic area of the app. And so if you can get in there as much as possible, you're going to be good to go. They also feature popular stories and popular lives. So that section is a great place to aim for. So you get there primarily by getting better engagement. So sharing better content, sharing content that people are engaging with, it's sort of the same type of thing. And you're also really just thinking about what are the right hashtags. So instead of don't necessarily go for the biggest hashtags, don't necessarily just go for like hashtag marketing, but get a little bit more specific. Get a hashtag that, think about it almost like SEO, like a long tail keyword. Like what's something that is a little bit more specific, but if people are looking for that hashtag, you can rank for that hashtag, so you can be in that top post section. I think then you're gonna get a lot more bang for your buck than being in sort of an endless stream of a very generic hashtag. So get really specific with that. Some other things you can do is make sure you're using geotagging as much as possible. So whenever it's applicable, if you can put a location on a post, that makes it searchable. So if you're a coffee shop, for instance, make sure your posts are geotagged with the location so other people can look and find you there. It's just another search mechanism that you can optimize for. And lastly, we love working with other brands or influencers to share each other's audience. So look for somebody who's similar to you in your space that potentially has similar audiences. Your audiences care about the same thing, and then you're gonna be able to get some really good results from sharing content on each other's pages or just working on any sort of co-promotion. There's a lot of things you can do, but the best thing you can do is just make sure you're sharing content that people care about and that they're engaging with.
Awesome. Next one is, how can I get more followers quickly on Instagram?
That's another great question. It's a question that we actually get a lot here at Iconosquare. So often businesses and individuals who are just starting out on Instagram can get frustrated by their slow growing follower growth, and they wish that there was a quick fix. So that's the reason why, I would say a growing number resort to using bots. So bots as in robots for follower growth. So it's not a robot like a physical robot. It's a growth bot. So basically it's a program which takes over your Instagram account and seeks out posts and specific hashtags and just accounts to automatically like and comment on, and accounts to follow in the hope of growing your Instagram account. So there's nothing organic about it. It's completely automatic. And there is the problem, basically, is that the strategy that the bot will use means that you're going to more likely than not end up with tons of unengaged and uninterested followers, which will in turn result in a poor engagement rate. And what's more, you will have no control over which posts your account is engaging with. And as you can tell, I'm not for this. It's a risky game. So if you're thinking about going down this route, we definitely advise against it. In this case, the quick fix could damage your engagement further down the line, so it's probably not worth the risk. The thing that we would encourage instead would be concentrating your efforts on organic engagement and growth. So interacting with your followers, engaging with them, and just talking to them will help you to gauge the types of content that get the best results, as I was saying earlier, which will help you to grow your account organically by producing just top quality content, the kind of content that your community already wants, and also obviously the more quality engaging content you produce, the higher you'll appear in your followers' feeds, thanks to the Instagram algorithm, which I think we're going to get into a little bit better later. So yeah, the Instagram algorithm can actually bump you up to the top if you are producing engaging content already.
Awesome, well said. Next one is, what kind of hashtags should I be using?
Again, as we said earlier on, I would definitely suggest using a few different tactics when it comes to hashtags. So look up and use popular hashtags, as Marissa was saying earlier on. To do this, you need to try and look at accounts that are similar to your own, and checking out, I have an echo. 2 seconds, I
can jump here too and start chatting a little bit while you're unplugging. So we, yeah, I think this is a lot of what I was trying to talk about earlier, is like, I got a little ahead of myself, is find accounts that are similar to you, see what kind of hashtags they're using, if they're working well for them. Emily, you want to jump back in, or you good to go?
I think I'm okay now. I don't have an echo anymore. Sorry about that. So yeah, trying to look at accounts that are similar to your own, checking out which hashtags they're using, and then benchmarking yourself against these other accounts, and just discovering the different hashtags that there are in your niche. So once you have a good list of hashtags that other people are using, other people similar to you, you can find out how popular they are by looking up the hashtag in the Instagram search bar, checking how many posts already exist on each hashtag. So to know if a hashtag is popular, I would say a very popular hashtag would have at least 100,000 posts, for example. So this would be a good hashtag to use, providing it's relevant for your brand. And the only downside to using a very popular hashtag is that there are so many other accounts using it, which would mean that your post wouldn't necessarily stand out and be visible among the sea of posts in the search results. So another tactic to avoid this would be to use alternative hashtags to the big popular ones. So basically what you'd have to do is search for less popular versions of the hashtags with hundreds of thousands of posts. So say, for example, you have a bakery. I always talk about food when it comes to giving examples. So instead of using hashtag food or hashtag bakery, which already have millions of posts, you could use, for example, artisan baking, or a smaller hashtag, slightly more specific, which would only have a few thousand posts and therefore make you more searchable and more discoverable. On the opposite end of the scale, though, you need to make sure that you're not using completely unknown hashtags, because the chances are that nobody will search for them, and so your post really will be lost. So it's all about balancing between the very popular and the alternative hashtags for the best results. And that actually brings me to my next point, which would be to say that testing is a really important step in hashtag usage. So definitely try using different hashtags to see the effect that they have on your engagement. And apart from that, there aren't really any specific rules. You just need to always try to stay relevant to your brand. Don't use attention-seeking hashtags. So just because it's Valentine's Day, don't go putting hashtag Valentine's Day in your post if your post has nothing to do with it, because it will have the opposite effect on your engagement. So to sum up, I would say don't use bots, and give organic engagement a chance, and with popular and less popular hashtags.
I would jump in, and just to add on the hashtags too, I would say try to use, your Valentine's Day point is totally valid. Like, don't do something that is not relevant. But if there are topical hashtags, so if there is an awards show happening or a big event that's topical and interesting to your audience, and you can find a way to make that conversation work for your brand, then go for it. That can actually have some really good results too. Think about it like you think about Twitter hashtags too. It's very similar. So yeah, I think you're right. Don't use bots either. It's so opposite of inboundy. Don't do that. It's tempting, but like the organic engagement is the way to go. That will be a slower growth, but like a more authentic growth. And even if you have bots, you don't know what content is actually working well with your audience, because it's not real. So it's all your metrics are fake. You can't trust anything. So don't do that.
Anti-bots, got it. So what's the future of using Instagram for business?
Yeah, so I have a lot of thoughts on this. We at HubSpot play a lot with the new tools that Instagram is rolling out, and this year has been super busy. They have kept me very, very busy with stories and with live and releasing all these new tools. And even yesterday, they released the ability to do multi-photos in one post. So I think they're adding more and more features to this core app that's continuing to keep people here longer. So the idea is you're not just checking Instagram to do a quick scroll through anymore and see what coffee pictures people are posting. You always talk about bakeries. I always talk about coffee. I think that says a lot about a person. But people aren't just coming to the app to quickly scroll through anymore. They're really looking to spend time there and create content there. And by adding all these new features and all the focus they've put on messaging in the last year, they're really looking to become that one-stop shop for communication and social sharing. I think this latest move where they released this album feature or carousel feature, I think is a big step towards that, because they've always sort of been this place of quality over quantity, but by adding 10 photos to one post, it's really shifting that narrative a little bit. And so they're really encouraging people to spend more time in the app, and that's a challenge for marketers. So that means we really need to put more emphasis, put more resources into content creation, because it's no longer just like resharing 1 or 2 posts a day. There's so many features in this app. And by using these other features, we get better engagement on our standard posts by utilizing stories and live, because both of those things will help bump you up in the discover or in the explore page. So it sort of has this like ecosystem effect that when you're using all of those tools, it really is a benefit to you. So I think that's going to be a big deal, is how this app continues to evolve. I would also say there's been a shift in the past couple of years towards e-commerce, trying to be more friendly to brands in general, but e-commerce specifically. So there's more click-through, more traffic options, that sort of thing. So that'll make it a little easier for marketers in the future. And lastly, I think this is going to become a bigger and bigger platform for folks because the demographics are changing really rapidly. So Instagram started as sort of a niche network for much younger folks, and that demographic is changing really rapidly. So I think anyone who's sort of dismissing Instagram is going to be behind the curve in a year or two, when it really is going to be likely overtaking Facebook as a primary social network for most people's audiences. So that's my 2 cents.
That's a really great answer as well. And I would love to, I have another echo. I would love to just jump in and say about what you were saying about the shift towards e-commerce and all kind of B2B. I would imagine that the shift towards a B2B platform would also increase the use of ads. So in the future, I would expect to definitely see more ads. And as you mentioned about the brand new feature, which came out yesterday about the multiple photos, I don't know what to call them actually. They haven't given it a name, have they?
They haven't. I went back to check because I wasn't sure, because they called the ad feature carousel.
Yeah.
It's an ad feature, but now they made a distinct attempt not to name it. I read back through the blog post again this morning, and I was like, what am I supposed to call you?
Yeah, well, I think maybe they want us to name it for them. I would say let's call them slideshows.
Sure.
You heard the next theory that we had on that over here at Iconosquare anyway was that the next step would possibly be to add ads into those slideshows. So we can see about that. I have a bit of an echo. Sorry if I'm speaking funny. But I think they announced 500,000 advertisers about 6 months ago. So that figure must have risen again since then. And we're seeing more and more different options for advertisers, like ads and stories, which are being tested. And I believe will become available for business profiles very soon. So all these different types of advertising options will mean that Instagram for Business will grow in a way that, for example, Snapchat hasn't been able to yet. So definitely a good call for businesses to be on Instagram in 2017.
Awesome. The next one is Instagram more effective for brand building or lead generation?
So I think this is a really interesting question and something that I've been spending a lot of time thinking about over the last year. So we are obviously B2B, HubSpot's B2B. It's a little tricky with lead gen, to be totally honest with you. It has been historically. It's becoming more and more friendly. Like I said before, there's more and more opportunities to use links, to use tracking, that sort of thing, than there have been in the past. So right now, I would recommend brands use stories if they're trying to do any lead gen, because stories makes it super easy to do linking and click-throughs. I would say keep in mind, though, the user behavior and user intent when people are on these platforms, because when you're on Instagram, you're on your mobile, you're using it in your free time, you're not going to want to fill out a super long form or go through sort of a lengthy process. And so if you are using it for lead gen, do it in a way that's light touch and do it in a way that's easy to do on mobile and isn't going to take people away too much from that experience. But it's definitely worth playing around with. If you don't have a verified, like try to get a verified account because that's the only way you can get the links right now. I imagine that'll be rolling out soon a little bit more widely. But so that's what I would suggest for lead generation. You can also use the link in your bio, that sort of thing. That's sort of a classic. Those links typically don't get a ton of traffic. I've personally seen much better luck in stories and that sort of traffic driver. But it's worth trying. It's a little bit challenging though, to be totally honest with you. In terms of brand building, I think this is where there's a huge opportunity. Right now, Instagram is totally blue ocean in a lot of ways, and not a lot of brands, especially on a B2B side, are really, really crushing it. So there's a lot of room for discoverability. There's a lot of room to be found and to build an audience, and to build an audience really high up in the funnel. So think about these people as like a very first touch. Like, what do you want them to know about your brand in a really light, fun, interesting way? And then you can continue to nurture them through even pushing them to channels that are more lead gen a little bit later on. So, you know, encourage your Instagram audience to maybe check out something on your Facebook or Twitter that might be a little bit further down the funnel, but use these discovery tools that we're talking about to build a really wide net. So I think that's sort of the best opportunity right now, is to really, really grow that audience in a really light way. But later on, we might see in 6 months, Instagram might be a great channel for lead gen. It just, we'll have to think about it from a mobile first perspective. So a lot's going to change soon. So keep your eye on the ball here and stay on top of your profile, because it might be worth even more to you in another 6 months.
Awesome. Next question is, how often should businesses post?
So that's another question that we actually get asked quite a lot here at Iconosquare. So I have a stat for you. The average business posts on Instagram 1.5 times per day, and that's all industries combined. I'm going to try without my headphones. Tell me if this is any good at all. Is this okay?
It's a little worse that way.
Not great.
I love these live events.
Without the headphone.
Okay, let me see.
Broadcast, folks.
It seems to be better now. I don't know why it's having a bit of trouble. 1.5 times per day, all industries combined. So which doesn't necessarily mean that 1 to 2 posts per day will be the perfect fit for your business. Some businesses post way more, some only post once every few days. So what we tend to suggest is once per day as a good amount. Once per day means that your followers hear from you every single day when they log in, and it helps you to stay relevant to them. Posting too seldom will have the opposite effect of this, and your engagement will probably suffer as a result of that. But on the other hand, posting too frequently, and I always choose the example of 2 posts in a short space of time, actually can cause one of the posts to take all the engagement and the other to suffer. So it's really good to have a strategy about your posting, and it's all about posting at the best times once again, and you can find out that information through Instagram. So yeah, I'm trying to work with the algorithm to get the best reach.
Is the new Instagram algorithm penalizing my posts? This one got quite a few upvotes.
So I love this question, and I hate this question so much, because no one's penalizing you. I think you need to just do good content. Ultimately, that's sort of the underlying foundation of any algorithm on social media. If people are engaging with your posts, if they're liking your post, you're going to rise to the top. There are things you can do on different social networks to boost your post and give it a little bit more juice with paid. But at the end of the day, you just have to be putting out stuff that people care about. So it's the same rule of thumb with Facebook. So you have to put out content that your audience is engaging with. If you do that, the algorithm's going to help you. So the algorithm wants to help, not hurt. The algorithm's trying to make sure that that everyone's seeing content that they like on social media. And as marketers, we are invading a space that's a personal space. And so people want to only see stuff that they care about. And you have to remember that. Like, think about how you use social media too. You want to see stuff that is relevant to you and that you care about. So I guess the short answer to this question is no, as long as you're putting out good stuff.
Awesome. Next one is, should I use stories? And if so, what content should I put in a story?
So we lean into stories pretty heavily here. I love them. We've been on Snapchat for a while too, But I think stories have a lot of benefits that Snapchat does not. So it's similar in the type of basic content, which is fun, ephemeral, light, easy to sort of understand. A lot of it lets you show sort of a lighter side to your brand that you don't necessarily get to show. It can be a little bit unpolished, and that's okay. And that way it's very similar to Snapchat, but there are a lot of improvements that Instagram has made, especially for marketers. So links to start with, there's geotagging features, there's you're able to link to others' accounts. And so I mentioned earlier, Instagram, like influencers or working with partners, that sort of thing. That's a really great way to drive traffic to each other's accounts, because you can literally just click from that at mention. So it just creates a much more seamless experience throughout the rest of the app. So I'm a big fan of stories. I think it's especially great for marketers who are managing a lot of social channels and don't necessarily have time to jump on every new thing, or don't have time to manage Snapchat and Instagram. I think that's a big challenge for a lot of people, because the types of content you would share on both are very similar. So it's hard to sort of find time to do both, and you know, we always tell you don't post the same kind of the same exact content across channels, and so you never want to upload a Snapchat story to Instagram. So I'm personally, I don't think that that's a great use of the platform. I think you need to sort of respect each tool for what it is. So anyway, I can go on about Snapchat and Instagram for a while. I personally think if you're someone who if you've got a ton of resources, totally like go for Snapchat and Instagram. I think the audiences are a little bit different. But if you're the type of person who, you know, you're juggling a lot of different things, I would say spend some time on Instagram stories, see what kind of traffic you can get from it. Your reach is better, your growth opportunities are better, discoverability is better, and it gives you another opportunity to potentially show up in that explore section of the app.
Awesome, well said. What should I post to my company's Instagram account?
So I have actually an image about that. I don't know if you can put that up on the screen, Kate.
Yeah, let me grab that for you.
So while you're putting that on, obviously you know what values you have in your company and the kind of message that you want to give out, but it can be hard to get a content strategy together just from that. So this image that Kate is going to put up on the screen is basically, it's nothing special. It's just my 4 main axes, which I tend to recommend, which are company news, user-generated content, which is top right, reposts, which are bottom right, and entertaining posts, sort of fun, anything quotes. So obviously these topics can be adapted to your own business. But that's the kind of balance that I would suggest going for. The next step would be to put all of these chosen topics into a cycle, meaning that you'll always have a clear vision of which order you need to be posting in, what's up next every time you post. So the examples of topics I gave, for example, for the company, news, employees, products, can be anything from a takeover of your Instagram account by one of your colleagues to, for example, a post about one of your brand new products. So anything that revolves around your company, and then user-generated content, repost of one of your partners, one of your customers, anybody that's kind of in linking with your business. And then the fun entertainment obviously can be anything. It can be a story even. I mean, all of this isn't just on your Instagram feed. This can be in your stories. It can be in the new slideshow posts. So yeah, these are the topics that I would definitely recommend if you're just starting out and you don't really know what to post.
Cool. Next one is Instagram effective for B2B?
So I think this is sort of a funny question, and I'll start with this. I think as B2B marketers, sometimes we get in the trap of saying, is this for B2B or is this not for B2B? But we're still marketing to humans. So at the end of the day, you know, it's sort of the other side of the coin of what I was just talking about. Like, we're invading personal space, but every marketer is doing that. We're doing that in the same way that anyone else is. So at the end of the day, just remember, you're still marketing to people. And so people use Instagram. People who buy software still use Instagram. So I think there totally can be an opportunity, especially if it fits within your brand. So the reason I love Instagram as sort of a brand tool is there's so much, you know, like I've sort of been harping on this whole time, there's so much opportunity for discoverability here. It's really blue ocean. Like there's there's a ton of room to really grow that top of the funnel audience. I think for B2B businesses, it's especially important to remember showing a human side of your brand rather than something that's a little bit more buttoned up. So B2B, we tend to be a little bit more buttoned up in our messaging, and we tend to sort of, a lot of folks will default to something that's a little bit more stuffy than a lot of B2C companies. Instagram is a good opportunity to figure out, how do we want to curate sort of our human side? How do we want to show human element to our company? Do we want to show faces, like the people who work here? Do we want to show faces, put faces to the work that we do, tell stories? There's a ton of opportunity. So don't limit yourself by just thinking about how you traditionally do things. Think about Instagram as a new way to tell a story that you wouldn't necessarily be able to tell otherwise.
Great. Should I advertise on Instagram? And if so, how do I get started?
So I can talk to you about Instagram advertising. Actually, we, Iconosquare and HubSpot, co-published an ebook all about getting started using Instagram ads. So that ebook will be available in the follow-up email, so it's free for download. So you'll get more information from that from my answer, which I'm about to give you. So Instagram ads are great for generating leads for your business. They give you great exposure, and on the financial side, they work the same as Facebook ads. So that's to say, on a pay-per-click basis, which is always beneficial. The disadvantages, so to speak, would be they would only occur if you don't design your ad in a good way. So, for example, if you don't include a clear CTA, or if you don't target your audience in the right way. So, mainly advantages which can be taken from advertising on a platform which has over 600 million potential conversions. So, definitely a good place to advertise. In the ebook, we talk about defining your goals, deciding on your ad content. All of these are the key elements to creating a great Instagram ad, and we even provide you with a step-by-step guide to setting up your Instagram ad. So I can't push this ebook enough, basically. This is the best source of information if you're just starting out getting used to advertising on Instagram. And also within the ebook, the team over at HubSpot actually conducted an experiment on the best types of creative to use for a well-performing Instagram ad. So you'll definitely have to check out the results of that when you download the ebook. I won't say anything else. I will let you download the ebook.
Awesome. How can I find influencers on Instagram?
Well, there are lots of tools for searching for social media influencers. In fact, Iconosquare has a special tool for this, which I'll tell you more about in a moment. But in general, this is how you would do it without the tool. So you would start off by searching for hashtags that are relevant to your brand, find out which accounts are posting on those hashtags, and then you want to look into their content and ensure that it gels with your business, so that if you would want to go on to contact them, that you know that their content is the kind of thing that you would be happy speaking in the name of your business, basically. So there are also some metrics that you need to look up for when you're searching for influencers. So first and foremost would be the number of followers, and second would be the engagement rate. Actually, I'm not sure if they're in the right order. I'd probably say engagement rate first, and then the number of followers. I say that because hundreds of thousands of followers doesn't necessarily equal a high engagement rate. In fact, it generally does the opposite. The more followers you have, the less likely you are to have a high engagement rate. So yeah, so I would definitely say to look for those two metrics. Also check out how many times a week that they're posting. This will give you a good feel for their energy on Instagram, and basically, obviously an influencer who doesn't post very often probably isn't influencing that very many people. So you want to definitely check out how many times they're posting per week. And so I think it is important for me to quickly mention here the Iconosquare tools which were created especially for tracking down influencers. So firstly, there's the Influencer Index, which is completely free, open to everyone. You don't have to be an Iconosquare customer. Basically, you can search for influencers by category. So we have loads of little categories at the top. And then you can just see everybody in order of engagement rate, number of followers. So that's influence.iconosquare.com. And secondly, there is our brand new influencer search tool, which is included in the Iconosquare platform. And basically, you search for you have a map and you search where in the world you're looking for your influencer, and then the map magnifies. You can search a little bit more local. You can search on hashtags, number of followers, number of media posted. Basically, you can really get down to a T exactly the kind of influencer that you're looking for. So yeah, I thought it was important for me to mention that.
I would also chime in and say too, I always tell people to try to think outside the box when you talk about influencers too, because I think we tend to all think of the same types of people, right? You think about like the Bachelor contestants that are selling like hair care items or that type of thing, or the Kylie Jenners or the athletes of the world that are like selling products on their Instagram. But think about it a little bit more creatively too. Like I even consider this an example of working with influencers, right? So we're doing this partnership with you guys, Iconosquare, and we have a lot of audience overlap and our audiences care about the same thing. So this is kind of another type of example on a much smaller scale. If you're a coffee shop, again, we'll do the coffee shop and the bakery. If you're a coffee shop and there's a bakery down the street that people like to go get a croissant after picking up a coffee at your place, maybe you guys can work together and sort of co-promote each other on Instagram, come up with some ways to work together. So even if you're a really small scale, you can find some types of people that maybe are not within the traditional influencer sphere that you can still manage to work together and get some cross traffic. But also definitely use the Iconosquare tool because it's super cool. I've been playing it.
Absolutely. How should I optimize my bio?
Yeah, so I would just say make sure you're thinking carefully about the type of information that you're putting in here. So obviously make sure you're providing a description of what your business does, but I would encourage you to maybe not use the same boilerplate introduction that you use for everything. Talk a little bit about what you do in a really fun way, like make sure people know what your brand is, but also change it up a little bit. Talk about what kind of content that you share. Talk about what your brand cares about. Again, just remember this isn't sort of a cut and paste network. This is something that you really have to create content all the way up to your bio for this channel. You can't just pull and drag stuff that you're using on other channels. I would also say make sure you have a trackable link in there. So, most people just use some sort of a link to their website, but put something that's got a tracking code on it so you can see where people are coming from. And I would also make sure that you have all your business profile stuff filled out. So make sure you've got. Oh, no problem. Sorry, I was just going to say, so make sure you got your business stuff filled out. So you've got your address, contact info, that sort of thing, so that if you're brick and mortar, people can find you or people know how to contact you. Sometimes people don't have that all filled out and you're sort of leaving money on the table.
Awesome.
Now I'm done.
Sorry about that. What is user-generated content and how should I use it?
Sure. So user-generated content is kind of exactly what it sounds like. It is content that is created by your audience, people that follow you, that sort of thing. So one of the big problems people have when they're managing an Instagram account is it's really hard to consistently create high quality content for Instagram, especially as, like I was explaining earlier, the quantity is going up higher and higher. And so you're sort of expected to not just do the bare minimum anymore. So that's a big challenge for a lot of marketers. So user-generated content is a really great way to sort of stack the deck in your favor there and get some more content that you're able to use. So I suggest finding a hashtag you can use as a mechanism for collecting that content. So for instance, at HubSpot, we use hashtag HubSpot Life as sort of a culture hashtag that we encourage people to use internally. And then we find content from that hashtag and share it, obviously giving credit, that sort of thing. But yeah, find a hashtag that's either branded or something that's tied closely to your brand where you can look for some great content. And let's see what else. So make sure, so this is a really good opportunity to highlight folks within your company internally or in your community. So whatever sort of community you have on your Instagram, this is a great opportunity to showcase people, to give them a little bit of love. And so most people like getting their stuff featured because it gives them a little bit extra attention, but do make sure you're asking permission and giving credit. We can easily get into shady territory here and no one wants to do that. So definitely suggest using user-generated content. You just have to make sure you are asking for permission and finding the right mechanisms to sort of collect it and encourage people to create it and share it with you.
Well said. Should I be mentioning customers and influencers?
Yeah, so this is sort of an interesting growth hacky tactic that's come up in the last couple of months where folks will tag a whole bunch of brands or influencers or that type of thing in their original posts. This is happening more and more. The reason why people do that is because then they'll see this in their notifications, and the idea is they'll then go and like your photo. This is another area where I think it gets a little hairy, and we don't recommend doing that unless it's relevant to your brand. So if you look through sort of HubSpot's tagged photos, like those are all public, a lot of them have nothing to do with us. And so I intentionally won't go back and tag those because I know that they're not relevant. And so I know I know what they were trying to do. But I would say if something's relevant, like if you're featuring a product in your photo, something like that, I would say go for it as long as it's super relevant. You want them to see it. If you're rocking a sweet pair of like Nikes or something in your photo and you want them to potentially engage with your photo, go ahead and tag it, but don't go and tag Skechers and Adidas and every other brand too. So use that tactic sparingly.
Awesome. One is, what is a business profile and how can I get one?
So a business profile is basically a setting which you can activate on Instagram. You have to be a business, obviously. But basically all it does is it gives you a good layout on your Instagram profile. So it gives you a contact button where underneath the button you have a street address and an email address. It also gives you access to Instagram Insights, which are integrated analytics for Instagram. So you would get, you don't get a massive amount of analytics, but you do get kind of the basics on each of the different areas of Instagram. Having a business profile also allows you to run ads. And so if you're a business, you can activate it if you haven't done so already. You just go to your settings and you select activate business profile, and you can deactivate the business profile at any time should you wish to, because I believe there are a few people who have had a few theories about the business profile and how it can affect you.
I think that's funny. We were, Emily and I were chatting about this a little bit earlier about how there's all these theories about what's affecting the algorithm, and sort of that's an interesting one that I hadn't heard before, that activating the business profile will hurt you in the algorithm. I think it's really tricky. We all have these conspiracy theories, right? Where we all talk to each other and we talk to other brands and we're like, are you seeing this too? And it's really hard unless you sort of run the data for yourself. And so I would just encourage you to look at the data, run some experiments, and sort of see how these things impact you personally. Because the reality is none of us really know how the algorithm works, and we all have our own hacks, but we don't necessarily know what they're doing.
Awesome. How should I report on Instagram as a channel to management and executives?
So I can talk about this one, as this is something we've been thinking about a lot lately and trying to figure out what the best course of action is here. So we pick a couple of metrics that we track on a daily basis, and we also will track channel growth month over month. So that's a big one for us, is how quickly is this channel growing compared to other social channels, because we do see Instagram grows a lot more faster. So a lot more quickly, excuse me. Some of the metrics that we're tracking on a daily basis are we're tracking any engagement with stories. We're seeing any bumps in follower growth, like any unusual peaks and valleys, that sort of thing. If we do an Instagram live, does that have a big effect on our follower that day? We'll track that down to a really granular level. So like if we're going to do a live, we'll check, okay, how many followers do we have right before going live? How many do we have right after? Because you'll see an immediate bump there. So there's kind of a ton of metrics that you can track here, but you really need to pick what is most important to your business. So for us, we're really looking at channel growth month over month, and we're looking at engagement per post average. So we really want to see that average per post go up, because if it's not scaling with our growth, then we're missing the mark on what kind of content we're creating. We're also looking at if there's a popular, so if we see a story does really well in the algorithm, will that lead to a spike in followers? If our story gets really popular and is presumably featured in some explore pages, we'll track that. And lastly, I would say, think about your priorities. So do you really care about growth, or are you sort of like, no, I feel like we're sort of at a good place with our audience size. We want to work in engagement, or we want to create more UGC. We want to create more user-generated content. Like think about what your business goals are and optimize for that, because you can't optimize for everything at the same time. So really focus in on what's most important to you and track that really aggressively.
Great. The last one here of the top 20 is, how does Instagram Live work?
Okay, so I will talk about Instagram Live a little bit. I don't know if any of you guys came here from the live that we just did before going live here, but Instagram Live is super, super simple. It's literally as simple as opening. It's too simple. It's dangerous, and I constantly am afraid I'm going to go live from my couch, and it's going to be like under my neck, and I'm going to be like, when you accidentally open your front page camera. It's too easy. Make it a little bit harder. So basically, you slide over like you're taking a photo, but you slide over one more time to live. And you just hit start live. Too easy, way too easy. So that's basically it. You can pin a comment to the top. There's no description space, but you can type a comment and pin it so people can see sort of what you're talking about. Buffer does this really well, where they'll pin like questions. So he'll go through and answer a bunch of questions, and he'll pin the question that he's answering at the moment, so people have context. Because the interesting thing is that lives don't exist after the broadcast ends. They disappear. They go away forever. So it's super ephemeral, super low stakes in a lot of ways, because whoever's watching live, like that's all you get. This is going to exist forever. So this is much more terrifying than a Facebook Live or an Instagram Live. Instagram Live is gone. So I love it, actually. It's really, it's much more light, and you feel like, I don't know, as the marketer on the other side, you feel a little bit less pressure. So I love lives. You're also, because not many people are using the tool, it's super easy to get featured. There's always a top lives section in the Explore tab, and it's really easy to get featured there. So really, really often we'll see comments coming in from people that are not our followers and are just discovering HubSpot, and they're like, oh, this is cool, what's this? So it's a really great discovery mechanism. I wanna make sure I like hit all my points here. So yeah, be aware that people jump in partway through, and because you can't go back and watch it again, you have to make sure you're adding context repeatedly throughout. And so just remind people like, oh, hey guys, we're here talking about Instagram, so people can jump in and know what you're talking about. And lastly, yeah, it's an authentic experience. So it's sort of like this is, there's, we got technical problems and whatever, it's real. And I think there's something really special about that, using that for a brand, so people can see sort of your human side.
Shall we finish on a conspiracy theory?
Yes, I love conspiracy theories.
There's another conspiracy theory that Facebook, when you're doing a Facebook Live, your live video gets bumped right to the top of the feed. So the conspiracy theory would be that since Instagram Lives get put right to the very front, so the kind of the left-hand side of the stories when you're live, the theory would be that going live would also bump your engagement, boost your engagement. So another one to test out.
Awesome. Cool. So that brings us to the end of our 20 questions. And we only have about 10 minutes left, or 12 minutes left. So I want to make sure we get to the contest winners. So why don't we maybe do that? And if we have a couple of extra minutes, we can try to grab these questions from Twitter. Sound okay?
Cool. Let's do it.
Let's pull them up here.
Thanks for all the Twitter questions too, guys. I was trying to like keep up with them, but I couldn't do this and look at Twitter at the same time.
No worries. Just, here we go. All right. So can you guys see that that image now from Iconosquare?
Yeah.
Awesome. And let's move down to this one.
Okay, great. So do you want us to talk about them a little bit quickly?
Yeah, if you just kind of mention this one, and I know we have one more that that you guys thought was really excellent.
Yeah, so the one you showed just before with the little doggy, we actually reposted that one because because we thought it was so great, and yeah, so that's just a really great photo, really great quality, and as you can see from our likes exploded for this photo. So yeah, that's definitely a tribute to Max Eloise. Is that French? I think that's French. So yeah, that's that for the little doggy, and then for the next one,
yep.
I think that this is just really a great photo because it's a photo within a photo, because it's so simple and yet at the same time it's so detailed and yeah, just a talking point. So I think that that's what Instagram is about, really.
Absolutely. And the last one.
I loved this one too. I thought this one had a really, obviously it's a beautiful photo, but it had a really nice story attached to it, and it was like a human story. And I think that's what performs really well. As marketers, we're trying to appeal to humans, and so how can we find ways to tell those stories that tug on people's heartstrings a little bit, and how can we tell those stories not only through text but through photos? So I love that one. Great job, everyone. All those photos you guys shared were really awesome, so thank you for sharing them with us.
Yeah, thanks everyone. These are great. All right. So we do have about 10 minutes left. So why don't we try to grab a couple of these questions from Twitter. Somebody did ask about the albums feature and whether people should dive right in and start using it, or what the best ways might be to use them. I don't know if you guys wanted to do a quick retread on that.
Yeah, I can kick that one off. So albums are, for those of you who might have missed it, are the new feature that they rolled out just yesterday. So it's essentially displayed like a carousel. You can upload 10 photos and basically swipe through them all one after the other. It's only one engagement point, so people will just like the post. They can't like the individual photos. I'm always of the opinion you should just jump right in and start using it. I don't think that there's any reason to stop or to wait for it, especially with something, hold on, I'm gonna unplug and replug again. I don't think that there's any reason to wait necessarily, especially when something's relatively straightforward. It's super simple to use. We posted one this morning. It's basically you go to post like any other photo, and it gives you the option on the bottom right hand that says select multiple photos. So you can just go through and tap as many as you want in whatever order you want. So it's super easy. You know, this morning we had a really great use case to use it. We're doing a little bit of a TBT promotion today where we're looking back at some of the content that we've shared over the last 10 years. It's kind of funny looking back at like the blog posts and the stuff that we put out there that was a little off the mark, you know, talking about QR codes, that kind of thing. So the Instagram post we did today was a series of blog posts over the last 10 years. You can swipe through and essentially go back in time. So I think that's a little bit of a cool use case. I think it's a great sort of storytelling mechanism. So you can have sort of a beginning, middle, and end. It's more chronological. I think it's just a different way to sort of display a story. I hope people think creatively about it and we don't just use it as a tool to upload more content. I think we should use it to upload content in a different type of structure, but not just use it as like, how am I trying to put this? I don't want people to use it as a crutch to be like, all right, I'm just going to upload 10 photos because I have them. Like, still only upload the ones that are good, but use it for a reason. So I don't know, Emily, I'm curious to hear what you think.
Yeah, definitely. No, sorry, I completely agree with you. And I would say also that since it has come out, there are loads of people who have already started using them. And if you're looking for inspiration, you can type in #SwipeLeft, which has kind of become a big thing since yesterday, because obviously you swipe left to see the next photo. So #SwipeLeft on Instagram will give you lots of inspiration. And actually, I've almost finished a blog post all about how brands are using the new feature. So definitely check out the Iconosquare blog after this, because I've featured loads of different brands and how they're using it, and it's really could be great for some inspiration for that.
Lovely. What would your guys' thoughts be on posting old content or reposting content you've already posted before?
Do you want to take that, or shall I?
I can. So that's a good question. I have some conflicting thoughts. I think it depends. I think when we're talking about Twitter or Facebook, I feel like it's totally fine because you only reach such a small percentage of your audience anyway. But Instagram, you reach a much bigger percentage of your audience, so chances are people have already seen it. So I would say probably no, unless you have a good reason. Maybe if you're digging way back into the archives, maybe. But it's probably not the best. I don't know. What do you think, Emily? My gut says no, but I think there's always exceptions.
Yeah, I kind of think the same as you, except for a special occasion. Say you're doing a TBT, Throwback Thursday, something like that, and you just really want to remember a really great moment. And if the photo worked well the first time, then why not? But yeah, I wouldn't say make a habit of it. I wouldn't say, you know, twice a week post an old photo. Definitely not.
Fair enough. And the last question that we grabbed from Twitter is, what B2B brands are doing Instagram really well?
I can start. I think two of the ones I love are Canva, because they just do stuff that's using their tool, so it actually has a direct tie into their brand, and all of their content is just really beautiful. And WeWork, because they show off their offices essentially in different office spaces, and so again, it's tying into their brand, but in a super beautiful, super authentic to the platform kind of way. Moo does a great job too. They have some really gorgeous stuff. A lot of B2B brands are really like stepping up their game. So it's, we're pulling on our collars over here trying to keep up.
I would say, I was going to say Canva as well. Canva definitely sticks out for me because, I actually use Canva, so I'm a great fan of what they do on their little app, and so yeah, their Instagram is great. And HubSpot does a great job. You do. So you post some lovely stuff, and I think that it's really great for. It's something that we're trying to get into. I'm trying to concentrate more on is that. Is just posting real stuff rather than just B2B, trying to post real stuff and parts of your day. And, I'm a fan.
That's great. All right, so it looks like we're coming right up to the end of our time here, but I just wanted to thank you both, Emily and Marissa, for sharing all of that really awesome information with everyone. And thanks to everyone that tuned in for your engagement and for taking a little time out of your day to learn something. Feel free to jump back on Twitter with #Instagram Hangout with any further questions. Marissa and Emily have already agreed to answer some more there. And keep your eye out for the recording and the slides. I'm going to send those out in just a bit. But otherwise, have a great rest of your week, everyone.
Thanks everyone.
For joining us.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.